And with this cigar that I picked up from a interview, and we'll talk about it. Oh, by the way, I'm Bob the Cigar Guy, and this is PCA 2025 live after dark in New Orleans. That's right, day 3. I just wanted to smoke a cigar. It's not like I've smoked a cigar today. I think I'm over 30 since we've been here. A lot over 30. I've lost count. I don't want to count because the First Lady is right here. She's doing some moderating. Hello, First Lady.
Hello.
She's doing some moderating and stuff, and I don't want her to say, I can't believe you smoked that many cigars. And I'll say, but they're free, and I
How
got to
many
do
was
them.
it today?
They're free, and I got to do an interview, so I got to smoke during the interview. And they say, well, you didn't do that many interviews. You had cigars in between. What did you say?
I don't know what I'm doing.
You don't know what you're doing.
No, it's
First
okay.
Lady don't know what you're doing. One thing she does know what to do is how to keep a man for 34 plus years. That's right. Today is my anniversary with the First Lady. What did you think about that segue?
Great.
She liked it. She loved it. I am so glad that she is my wife and she chooses to stay my wife. I've said today, as many people come up to me and said, happy anniversary. I said, you know what? She is patient and I am blessed. And I'm glad to say that that is still how life goes on in my house. But I got me a Stolen Throne cigar. Interviewed Stolen Throne today. Neat feller. Didn't hear much about the story. Not a ton of blends, but I know there's a sub cult following for Stolen Throne. Last year, their booth had a big, huge, nasty, Halloweenish looking throne in a crate that you could sit and get your picture took in. This one was a whole lot more uh, sanitized. It still had really darkness to it in the corners, but it was very easy access to go in and out. It had corporate kind of chairs and tables. It looked a whole lot more like a business place. Other the last year, it was a lot more like a uh, a sub. Uh, a, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? A basic, different kind of thing. It wasn't professional. It was more like avant-garde. It was more boutique-y, right? Nothing bad about it. I liked it from last year, but this year makes a lot of sense because they're writing more paper. You know what writing more paper is. They're selling more cigars, and so they have to be professional, and they have to have places people to sit so they can say, "I want to give you my money for what you make in cigars." By the way, did you know that there's a company called Villiger Cigars that makes what? Cigars. That's right. Not only just cigars, but good cigars that you can enjoy. Why do I say that? Well, because I'm paid to. Villiger Cigars sponsors PCA After Dark. Now, I will tell you that whatever I say about Villiger Cigars is the truth. They're paid for the exposure and me saying things, they're not paying for the truth. And so the truth is free. And here we live by that truth. So when I say Villiger Cigars has a good construction, it does. When I say it's got great burn, it does. And when I say it has many blends that you can enjoy, it do. So without further ado, by the way, I am so full. First Lady boiled up some boudin. We had some leftover barbecue. I had a piece of pizza dipped in barbecue sauce, which was actually amazing. And I hadn't eaten all day, and so I scarfed it all down. And here I am sitting out here with a warm belly, talking to you, smoking this cigar. I know you're asking, so Bob, what do you think of that cigar? I tell you, it's a little rough around the edges. It's got a little aggression to it. It's got a little dryness. It's got a little dirtiness to it. It's got a little bit of minerality and tinniness. But all those things sound bad. It's not a bad tasting cigar. This is all right. If you like that kind of profile where it dries out your mouth, and there is people who like that profile. I do too sometimes. But if you like something like that, this may be what to go with. And it tastes good. And it smokes well. It does. It does. It's delicious. But let's get into the list because We had a bunch of people to interview today, and we had pop-up interviews, which I'll talk about. Really interesting. When I say your boy and Chief have brand recognition, this year is different. Lots and lots of people coming up to us, talking to us. Lots of manufacturers wanting to get some time with us. And so we are blessed to take that time. Tomorrow, which is Monday, it's the last day. We start at 8 o'clock in the morning. We go till 4 o'clock. We want to do a bunch of extra content, but a lot of manufacturers are coming to us and say, hey, will you come to our booth and do a review? Will you just come and do a quick review at our booth? And so we may end up doing a whole lot more reviews um, than we had expected. So we may not put out all that additional content. We may have reviews taking the place of that, but hopefully we'll have a little bit of both. But the first place I went to was my had to go to place because I missed it last year. Our schedules didn't G and Hall. Their cigars are my favorites on the list. They're always up there on the list. I love them, but the cigar owner, manufacturer, master blender, he is just an awesome fellow. I just really glad to call him friend, and that's Nick Melillo from Foundation Cigars. That's right, baby. They've been in 10 years. Bob Cigar Guy's been in 9. They've been in 10. Founders are yeah, Founders Cigars 10-year anniversary. That's Saint so and so slaying the dragon, and he talked about that in the video, which is really cool. And this is my shirt, not Chief's shirt. Chief got a shirt too, but it didn't stop just there. We actually got hats. I got a blue one with gray edges, and Steven got a green one with white edges, right? So we got some new, nice little ball caps. Love these hats. I do. I've got a red one myself and a green one. And then he decided since we're going to have that 10-year anniversary shirt, he was going to give us some amazing cigars. These are those amazing cigars. We'll be getting a 10-year anniversary coming to us in the mail very soon. But these are the cigars he sent me, minus the one that I had smoked, which is the Wise Man Maduro. Love that cigar. Even the new blend I love. But the Wise Man Maduro, it's gone. But he has a special coffin of 3 cigars, all American tobacco, all Connecticut River tobacco, and it is in a diadema shape, right? It's that right there. And it is an event only cigar. Only if it's a foundation event can you get the cigar, and then you have to buy a box or 2. And so it comes in a 3-count coffin. He handed me one and he handed Chief one, and we took them and ran because they are delicious, delightful, and lovely. And I also got some stickers, right? It's hard to get some of them stickers. Michael Z, hey buddy. Fireborn, hey Michael. So I went to Foundation. We had a great time. Nick had a lot of things to talk about. He also talked about the fire at AJ Fernandez and how they lost some of their product because the big fire was basically in the finishing room and in the basic warehouse where the cigars are completely made. Uh, Barber and Cigar, what's up, man? So he says it's going to be a little slow getting the product out. So I'm going to tell you that if there's something Foundation that you like, and if it's at your lounge, instead of buying the 1 or 2 that you plan to get the 5 or 6, because there's going to be a lull. And he says we're going to get them back out to you, we promise, but we're not going to compromise on our quality by rushing anything out of the door that's not ready to leave. Pretty good integrity, right? So that was our first stop. Our second stop, which is a great stop, we were so glad to see Nick Melillo. But the second stop was the stop of the century. For us, it was now we got Steve Sacco, which is amazing. We got Terrence and Fabian coming up, and they're going to be great. And we did the Drew Estate Tour de Liga, which is fantastic. We got to meet a bunch of other people, which is great. But this one was just a culmination of just hilarity and greatness. It really, really was. And it was the Davidoff booth. And this year, Davidoff came back to PCA. They haven't been there for, 4 years. When they came back strong. They had no less than 50 people on their floor booth. The booth was probably a 50 by 50, one of the biggest booths out there. And everybody was in branded shirts. You had the Davidoff line, right? Then you have the Avo line, right? Then you have the Camacho line. And then you have the Zeno Nicaragua line, which is one blend cigar. They literally turned that place into Zeno. Everybody wore a yellow shirt that said Zeno. Everything there was Zeno. The backpacks that they were giving you out were Zeno. It was crazy. It was crazy. And Law Rain, my man, Tobacco Cupcake, he is a Zeno rep. He's the one that drives around in the big yellow bus with a trailer behind it. And the trailer was actually in there serving coffee. The bus was outside because we parked next to it every day. But it was fantastic because we got to do all the brand ambassadors for each one of those brands. So let me show you the gear that I got, and then I'll tell you the stories. So I ended up getting a Zeno hat for the Zeno show, which was really funny because they handed me the hat, and within 30 seconds, I had that joker bent just like that, and I put on my head, and they were all amazed. How did you do that so fast? I said I have bent more than one hat in my life, and so they were actually impressed with my hat bending skills. I wish I could get a job bending hats because I would be a master hat bender, right? I did call it the box press bill, right? Box press square. I didn't come up with that idea. Somebody else said it, but I loved it, so I stole it. And so then I got a little baggie of some Zeno. I got a little baggie of some Avo. And I got a little baggie of some Camacho. And I had to dab it off, but I smoked it. I smoked it. Oh, wait, what's in that in there in the bottom? Oh, I got something else in the bottom of my bag. Hang on just a second. Let me dig in there. I have a Camacho limited edition 2025 release right there. So I got one of those as well. And we've got a bag that says live life from A to Z. Chief said he loves this bag because it's easy to throw on, it doesn't sweat his back, and it carries a bunch of stuff. Feel that, First Lady? That's a nice little bag, right?
Yeah, it's like a linen cotton feel.
Kinda. And he said he'd love to get something like this and have the Chief of the Bob Cigar Guy logo on it, just as a backpack for him, and maybe brand it out for merch. So who knows? He's excited about it. I I use my regular backpack. I just stuffed that in my box. So let's see. How weird was seeing Tom Zeno in yellow? That's funny. I'll tell you about it. The Davidoff tour was awesome in the Dominican. It was a good time. Kids have Ang the Airbender. We have Bob the Hat Bender. My man Fireborn, I love you, buddy. He said, "Keep it, First Lady. It's a giveaway." Michael Z, you better stop. That First Lady. No comments from First Lady on stuff like, oh my gosh. I've yet to get BTCG to donate my next giveaway. I haven't been home. You see what y'all are starting? You see what y'all are doing? And she's over there just a smiling. It's our anniversary. I can't fight with her. Right? Right. So we showed up and we saw this lady who was a brand new rep. Um, Her name is Bianca. That was her name. And she held the microphone because Steve was like, okay, you can clip this microphone like I have on the, you can put it on your shirt or we can hold in a handheld. I asked before I do. And she goes, I'll just hold it. And I think Steven was relieved because she was dressed nice, but you don't want to read. There's not many women we interview. We very rarely interview women. It's just there's not many women that are in the interviews, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to reach out and touch. That's no. We're both married. We don't play like that, and it's not inappropriate. It's just uncomfortable. It is. And so luckily she said I hold the microphone. But that microphone, she was talking to me. When you watch the video, that joker was going just like
Bless her
this. She
heart.
was shivering that thing. She did great. She actually did. And when I interview somebody, I tell them what I'm going to do. I'm going to spill the tea with you because there was a guy that told me that interviewers and media people at PCA suck because they don't do good interviews. They suck. And that guy happens to know what he's talking about because he was a cigar reviewer for a very long time. He was a media personnel. And so he knows what he's talking about. And he told me, he goes, dude, y'all got it going on because y'all ask funny questions. Good questions, questions people want to know, and you make it clear to people when you do your interview. And this is what I do. I walk up to him. Stephen usually is the head contact. So he goes up and he says, "Hey, I'm Stephen, Chief. How you doing? We got an appointment at such and such." And then he'll go, "This is Bob, the cigar guy." And that's when he brings on the talent. That's what they call you. Not that I have any, but that's what you're called. And so I go up, I say, "Hey, how you doing?" I shake their hand. And then Stephen hands me the microphone, usually if he's busy setting up his camera, or he'll do it himself, and we'll say, "You want to use the handheld, or you want it pinned on?" Most guys want it pinned on because they're lighting and holding a cigar. Makes sense, right? And then I'll say, "Okay." And for you, some of them will say, "What do you want? What do you want to do?" And we'll be like, "We'll talk as long as you want about whatever you want." I said, "We'll go your way. We're here for you." I said, "But I'll give you what we usually do." And they'll say, "Okay." And I'll say, "So what we usually do is we'll stand here and I will start off the conversation with a cute little saying, or I will say something and lead it in, and I will give it to you. And then it's your show. You talk about anything you want to talk about. And if during that time I find something needs to be said or something interesting to add, I'll ask you, and then we'll just close it out." Chief will get B-roll, which means he'll go and take pictures and video of the products, the cigars or the booth. And then during the video, we're still talking. You hear the voices, but the picture changes to those other pictures instead of the pictures through the video. It's called B-roll, right? And so Chief is really good at that. He does a great job at that stuff. And so that's how we push it. And so Bianca, I let her know what was going on. She did a great job. I thank everybody at the start, and we shoot the video, and then at the end, I told her, "You did a great job. You've been doing this for a long time because all your words were coming out really clear, and you had your lines down just the way you want them to go. I guarantee." And she goes, "Thank you. I was very scared." And I said, "Well, I couldn't tell. I lied." That woman,
Nice. Bless.
she had, and she's smiling. I mean, she had the whole thing going on. She was smiling. She was looking directly at the camera. Then she'd look at me. Then she'd look at the camera. Then she'd look at me. And I mean, she was skilled at what she did, but she was petrified. She was. So we got done with that young lady, and then we went to go see Alex, who is a Davidoff rep. Now, Bianca and Alex are not wearing Xeno shirts. They're wearing dress clothes. And Alex is a Davidoff rep. Never met Alex. And so I started off my portion with Alex the same way I did with Bianca. But I said, "You know, Alex, we've been friends for, 5, 6, 7 minutes. And I just got to ask you the question I'm not supposed to ask anybody. What's your favorite Davidoff cigar?" You don't ask them questions like that because then that casts shade on everything else. But I had Law Ream right there. I had Jack Heyer right there. I had Tom Zybrade right there. And it felt like hanging out funny guy moments. Chief was there, and he went into it. He answered it eloquently and well. And then we got done with his thing with Davidoff. And then they sent me to Law Ream. First of all, right before the picture, he found a pack of cigars that were supposed to be in one of these little glass cases, like on the movies where you lift it up, and Indiana Jones takes out the golden idol and stuff. And there was a little dead spider in there, Daddy Longlegs spider. And he asked me and Bianca, she was still there, to pick up on the case, and Law would put the cigars right in there, and then he was going to move that spider. He picked up that spider while I had it up in the air, and he put it on my shoulder. I don't care, it's dead. But the lady across from me almost dropped it. She goes, "Oh, I would freak out. I'd be screaming right now." And so Law brushed it off my shoulder, and we went about it. And we had a great interview. This is one of the interviews you're going to want to watch because it is super hilarious.
You mean they don't want to watch all of the interviews?
If you have to choose,
Don't make them choose.
that would be one I choose. Because then, and this one is Jack Heyer. Jack Heyer has been a friend of the channel. Jack Heyer is one of the reasons that we get to go to PCA, because Jack set this in motion. Jack was with us, went to Cigar Safari. He is a great friend of Steven's and mine. He's a great friend of the channel. Love Jack to death. And he's doing more and more things. Now he's left Euro State. He was Cigar Dojo first, went to Drew Estate, and now he's with Camacho Davidoff. Jack Hires amazing, but he said Jack Hires a loose cannon. Sometimes he's on point, sometimes he's amazing, and other times, well, Jack is Jack, and it just doesn't track as well. And Jack said in the beginning of the interview, he goes, "Man, I'm just not feeling it today. I am off my game," and I'm sitting there going, "All right, I'll carry this. I'll make funny. We'll do this. We'll do that." And we had told stories before it about all the different stuff that we've done and having a good reminisce. And Jack started, and I introduced Jack in some funny way. And then I just said, "Jack, take it away." Jack took the show to a next level. It was so hilarious, but it was so interesting. It was so engaging, and it was so on point with the Camacho brand and Camp Camacho. It was fantastic. I was just amazed at the way he pulled that together. And when he was done, he actually told Steven, "Can you send me a copy of that, because I need to remember this, because this was perfect." And it was. And that's what I'm saying. It's a great that's a great show. It's going to be a great episode. It is. Facts. So, I've taken a lot of time talking about Zeno and Davidoff. And by the way, Law Ream gave me a lighter, a little Zeno lighter. Look at this thing. That joker has a huge jet, right? And I'm not going to say that there's a lighter that looks like this, but it says Year of the Chief 2025 and Year of the Chief 2025 on back here, and it's gray, and it's coming for sale soon from the Bob Cigar Guy channel. I'm not saying that, but if I was saying that, that's what I would be saying. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So, the next one, where do we go to next? Went to AJ Fernandez. I've been nervous about AJ Fernandez. All right. AJ Fernandez is a big guy. A big in the industry guy. He blends for a whole bunch of companies, Nick Melillo, and a bunch of others, and he has a whole bunch of brands of his own, right? And he had that fire, and I was worried that everybody was going to talk to him about the fire, and he was going to be burnt out about it. And even if I didn't ask him about the fire, he was going to be closed in his presentation because he was afraid I was going to talk to him about the fire. So I made a point. We didn't talk to anybody about tariffs. We didn't talk to anybody about fire, right? At all. Because it affected a lot of people, and it just wasn't the political thing. Now, I did end up talking about tariffs, and I'll talk to you about that. But that didn't have anything to do with anything on video. So we went and we actually talked to a young lady who's been a rep there for a very long time, evidently. And she was a pro. We set up, and I said, this is what I suggest. And she goes, cool. And so we stood in front of some products like we usually do. I introduced her. I said, take it away. And she did. She talked about this new AJ Fernandez cigar that they've got, one of the new worlds. And she talked about that very well, talked about the blend. She wasn't boring, she wasn't dry, but she was very informative. And she spent a lot of time looking directly at me when she was talking instead of looking at the camera, which I keep wanting to go, look at the camera. But people do that, they'll look at you instead of the camera. That's my little nitpicky thing. But then she got done with that, and I said, now y'all have a lot of other blends, because I wanted her to promote the rest of her blends, the rest of her brands. They have 7. And she goes, oh, yes. And she starts to rattle off her brands like she's done this for 100 years. And it was perfect. I was like, go ahead, Dak. Oh. And as we were done, we closed up, we shut down, and she goes, y'all want a cigar? I said, absolutely. So she gave me and Chief that cigar, and evidently that's one of Chief's favorite cigars from AJ Fernandez. New World's a great line. So then we went to Natura. They didn't give me no cigars. Them old turds. Natura.
Put them on
Enjoyed.
blast.
I enjoyed going out and doing the interview. Uh, we told the story of Natura, which is a neat story. We had a great time doing it. The the cool takeaway from it is that he's got 3 brand new blends, but he's a company that's 2 years old. Now he's got a 5-year anniversary blend, and so I guess it takes 3 years for his tobacco to go from seed to cellophane. And so I guess he counted the first day as his first day because usually you got to work, sell cigars for 5 years before you have your fifth anniversary. But he can do whatever he wants to do. But his story is great and it's neat and amazing. And I really support them and I back them. And so I actually sent media in their direction to also do interviews with them because they're a cool company and I'd love for them to grow. They're extremely small, tiny. The whole crew was there and there was one, two, three, four, five, six. There were 6 people and a volunteer. That's it. That's the whole company. And so it was interesting. Now, the owner of the company is Israeli. And we got to hang out with him at dinner one night and talk to him and his wife and the whole crew. And then across from us, I said last night that over 50 booths were first time booths. They've never been to PCA before and they're brand new companies. Well, there's a company called Guri, who not only make cigars, they make whiskeys to go with cigars. Now, this looks like a very small glass. I'll tell you why it's not. Neat glasses. They had me take them. They came over, the guy came over right before I was going to interview. They're Israeli as well. They came over right before I was going to interview and they said, "Hey, you're Bob the cigar guy. I know you, I know you, I know you." And I said, "Well, hey, how you doing, my friend?" And I'm sitting there like in my head going, "I have to do this interview. I'll come, where you at? I'll come see you." And he goes, "As soon as you're done, can you come and interview us?" And I said, "Well, I don't know if Chief, do we have time?" And we did. And Steven said, "Yeah." I said, "So yes, we'll come over and interview you." "That's fantastic." And then he went over there and they had a little celebration. It was interesting. Like, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming. And I guess they're not getting much media coverage because they're a very small company and
Who was it?
they're Guri,
Guri.
Guri, and they're an Israeli company. And so English is not their first language. And they had a translator and it was very hard for them to get their message out because of that issues with trying to speak in English well. So after we got done with that, when I got done with Altura, yes, when I got done with Natura, we went right across the way, and they've got their cigars on barrels, on bourbon barrels, and they've got a little bottle of cigar pairing whiskey, and they're like, "You have to have this. You have to have this." Now, mind you, I haven't eaten. I ate a burrito for breakfast, and I'm running wide open. We put in like 6, 7 miles today, and it's 1 o'clock, and they're like, "Have some." And it's rude to not take something somebody gives you unless it's just retarded and stupid. And I said, "Okay, just a little bit. I've got a lot of work to do. I got to do more interviews." And so they said, "Glue, glue, glue." And so they poured this much in there. Not bad. Smelled it, checked it out, tasted it. It was nice. I set it down. We started talking the review. We started doing the review, and they snuck around the back and they filled that sucker back up to here. And I didn't figure it out because I was talking and trying to pay attention to the guy who was having to use his translator, and he was having a hard time with the language. And he was telling me most of his cigars have names of gods or names of um, philosophers. It's really neat, their whole story. They've been around for 3 years and they've got 25 blends, and they've got these whiskeys. And so I drank that and I was done. And the interview was over. And they gave me a bunch of cigars. They gave me a mess of cigars. They want me to do some reviews for them after things settle down. They want me to contact them off of their business card, and they want to send me a bunch more stuff because they'd really like to. Evidently, they've been following the channel. And so they know our content and they want our content to be part of their content. So we're sitting there. They said, "Oh, wait, 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 wait." I'm smoking one of their cigars and I've done finished it. I didn't put the whiskey down. And they said, "We have another whiskey that we also pair. We would love you to try. Please try. Would you please try this? We'd love to have your opinion. Would you please try it?" And grown men are saying, "Please, please, please," like that. And I'm like, just a little bit. I'd said it just like just a little bit. I even squinted my eyes, letting you know that I really Want a little bit, right? They fill that heifer up like that. Now I'm now 2 shots in because they're like salute or whatever. I forget what they said. Not Nostrovia, that's for sure. But we did a little tip. We did a little sip. We did. Oh, I gotta tip you. Oh, a little sip. Oh, I gotta tip you. Oh, a little sip. I sit the glass down and I'm smoking a cigar and I'm talking about the blend of the cigar with the guy. And when I look back, that glass that it went down to here is now back up to here. And as soon as I looked at it, I went to pick it up, and they're like, "Oh, toast to toast to toast," and we're toasting, and I'm like, "Oh, y'all suck. I see what y'all doing. That's all right, though. That's all right." And so I sat it down, and then they said, "Oh, we have one more that you have to try. Have you ever had Israeli American whiskey? It's American style whiskey made in Israel." And I said, "Oh, I've got reviews to do." They said, "But when will you ever have this opportunity? You must seize this opportunity." And I'm like, "Oh my God. Okay, just a little bit." So they filled it back to that point. And so now every time I sit my glass down, no lie, every time I sit my glass down, I put my hand on top of it like this.
International
Every
symbol.
time. Because I see them working around the corner to fill me up some more. I don't understand if it was, let's see if we can get the country boy drunk moment or what. I don't know if they were making points or bets or whatever, but then after it's over, they say, "Oh, by the way, that first whiskey showed me the alcohol by volume was 100 proof. The second whiskey was 130, 100, 115 proof. The third whiskey was 130 proof. My Lord. Luckily, I didn't have an interview for the next hour, and I had to walk all the way to the car, which is 3/4 of a mile there and 3/4 of a mile back. And so I was able to walk off my lunch, my liquid lunch.
Tell them what the name was again.
The name is
Tu-
Guri,
Guri.
Guri. And you know what? I had one of their cigars. I can't sit here and say that these are great, phenomenal, fantastic cigars because I haven't tried them. I'm not going to lie to you. But the one I did have was a very, very, very dark cigar. Um, he had those themed after, I think it was called Leonidas. And it was themed after the movie 300 and all the stuff from 300, different people's names, his wife's name, whatever it was, and then the god of whoever, and so Archimedes or whatever, and all that. So it was really interesting. It would have been a lot easier if I would have been able to understand. He had a very thick accent. It was extremely hard for me to understand exactly what he was saying. So it was. Fill me up once, shame on you. Fill me up twice, shame on me. I'll tell you what, I was, I was dead. So, and then I went back by there for some reason later. They said, "Oh, my friend, you back? You want a drink?" And I said, "No, thank you very much." And a lot of people were pouring today. "Hey, Bob, come get a drink." "No, thank you very much." "Hey, Bob, come just get a sip." No, oh, come on, man, please. I just kind of hang out with him. Let me tell you some stuff. So I got hooked in 3, 4 times. I did. Not out of control. I wasn't driving. I had lots of time. I actually got a drink, and as I left them, I walked past the garbage can. I threw it away because I just didn't need that much stuff. I got work to do. But then we went to what I call a redemption review. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. We had an interview 2 years ago with Black Label Trading Company, and it just felt like they didn't want us there. The guy that was interviewing us, we were a nuisance or a burden, and the owner didn't come over and say hey, and not all owners come over and say hey, but it's just the whole vibe just was off, and I was feeling some sort of way. I was. And last year I was like, we don't need to interview those people, we got enough, we don't need to send them an invite. And this year things had cooled off a little bit, and they had been sending me stuff to review, and I've been reviewing, and the connection has been getting better, and we were being more personable, his rep. And so I'm like, you know what, they reached out to us, asked us if we could do an interview. So let's see if we can schedule an interview. So we did, and I'm glad we did because James Brown is the owner master blender. and his wife does the media contacts and connections and stuff, and she was very kind, and James was extremely kind, very personable, very friendly. The video was amazing. We talked about painting cars and music. We talked about old school hip hop and punk rock, and we talked about different blending styles. And he got really into the science and nitty gritty at one point. It was really really great time. And so I actually had to walk away, and I told Steven, I said, I have to change my opinion because maybe they just had a bad day. Maybe they just had a day that they just weren't feeling it. And you know what? I have days like that, and I hope that I'm not judged by a bad day. And if I give somebody a bad day, I hope when I get an opportunity to see them again, they give me a chance to have a good day, because that's it's cool. So
The Ganja King thinks your hat brim bend is next left.
my man, I can't disagree with you. That Bobby box press right there. We got that Bill Bobby box press. We got that thing going on, and I can bend a hat in no time flat. Hey, that
You're a
rhyme,
poet.
and didn't know it.
I was gonna say, good job.
You're a poet, and good job.
Yeah.
That works. Is that a haiku? Um,
Yes.
so then we went to Black Label Trading Company. Then we went to, I don't have any Black Label. They gave me one cigar and I smoked it. Then we went to West Tampa, and I got to meet the master blender of West Tampa, who used to be the master blender of Camacho ways back, Rick Rodriguez. Always a great interview, always tells great stories. And he's talking about the three new blends that are coming out right now. One he called Devil Crab. It's a Tampa thing, and it's not a Devil Crab. It's a little pie, little empanada looking thing, but it's full of devil crab meat. And he called it Devil Crab. And I asked him, I said, "Is this a Devil Crab infused cigar?" Because I'm sitting here going, "That's not going to sell." And he goes, "No, it's just great tobacco. We just want that West Tampa experience for people." Then he talked about a cigar that has taken 5 years to come out, and it was out. I was smoking. It was pretty good. And then he has another one that's coming out in September, dark something or other, I forget. Um, and it's supposed to be a real banger as well, a real high class. I think 10-year anniversary, 5 year anniversary cigar, piano black, no hinges on the box kind of thing. It looks really really good. Bob getting the tobacco tastiness and the brown liquid from the gods. I tell you what, and it was flowing, faux show. I turned down a lot more than I accepted. Um, Aqua Vita Ambrosia. Zeno was impressed how fast you bent their hat. They were like, "What? You did that quick?" I said, "Yeah." And luckily, I did it right. I mean, it was. I don't even see it. It's on point. Look at that thing. That thing's even. And from Zeno, I went to AJ Fernandez, and luckily at the last minute, I reached out and I scratched my head, and I can actually tell which hat I have just by the feel, because I'm usually wearing the same hats. I've been wearing a lot of the American flag stuff, the patriotic stuff. It really resonates with me. It always has, but right now I just feel really really wanting to promote that. And when I reached up and I felt bumps that I had not known, I'm like, wait a minute. And I pulled my hat off and I'm like, oh, Lord. Because that's pretty bad if you go to AJ Fernandez wearing a Zeno hat. They're not going to give you an interview, and they shouldn't, right? So then we went from West Tampa to our final interview for the day, 10 interviews. We went to a company called Stolen Throne, and this is their cigar. Never had any. I have never had any Stolen Throne before tonight. So talking to him and hearing his story coming from Maryland and his desired grassroots to put out a company that makes a difference to people and gives you a moment of peace and pause is really, really encouraging. It's refreshing. And I don't know much about his blends. Um, this cigar is on the drier of the flavor side. It dries out your mouth. There's a little bit of sandiness. There's a little bit of loaminess. There's a little bit of stillness, a little minerality turned earth, but it's actually in balance. It's not like you have a heavy punch and then you have all this other gritty stuff in between. It's just that sandy gritty. It's a middle medium. medium to full flavor, and it feels like a light to medium nicotine. Alex says I need to try the West Tampa stuff because I always like the Camacho blends. He he's good. I like him. He does good stuff. I liked his red Tampa Red last year or year before last when we interviewed him. It was great. So I also did some other stuff. Companies would grab me and say, "Hey, you got time to interview me?" And I said, "I got to go to the next place." He said, "Will you take my cigar? Will you try my cigar and take my card and give me a call after you smoke it, and let's see if we can get together and do something." So there was a lot of that going on last year and the year before. Trying to do that, I would be the one pursuing people and wanting to get networking opportunities going. And now it's changed a little bit, and I think that's because Chief just looks so darn lovely, and he does such a great job. So, um, but that's we had Oscar Rodriguez from GTO Cigars hand me a cigar. We had a company that I'm not familiar with, AT Fields, hand me one of their cigars. Let me see. A bunch of people handed me a bunch of cigars. I just don't have them all out here. This one, I don't. I think somebody put this in my pocket. I don't even know what that cigar is. And I stuck my hand in my pocket today when I was cleaning out my pocket, and I was like, "Where'd that come from?" I think somebody literally slipped me a cigar, which I'm down with that. Tomorrow I'm gonna leave my pockets unbuttoned. I got cargo pockets. I leave my cargo pockets unbuttoned. They can shovel cigars in there. I don't mind. I ended up going by Drew Estate, hanging out with Drew Estate since they sponsor our PCA video coverage. By the way, this is sponsored by the PCA After Dark is sponsored by Villiger Cigars. That's right. In the name is what they sell, cigars. Right? Get you some, try you some. If you like cigars, you may like Villiger. Give them a shot. Give them a chance. Give them a puff. Maybe twice. See what you think. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. I'd love to know. Honestly, I would. But and I'm going by Drew Estate and I'm hanging out with them and just saying, hey, they got coffee there. They got bottled water there. I'm going hanging out with them and meeting all the guys and just chit chatting, asking them how they're doing. And they say, you need a cigar? I said, sure, I need a cigar. So I got a couple of these Dominicanas. That's that new leather rose cigar. And I didn't know this. I talked to DE, what is his name? Michael Laneza. And he told me that this is a great in between cigar because it is a deadwood line, sweetened cap, but there is no pipe tobacco in this cigar. I didn't know that. It's a completely traditional cigar with a sweetened cap. And what they did was they chose to say, okay, you've got your heavily infused, your acids, and then you get in your tobacs, right, your laritans, and then you get into the less infused, which is a deadwood line, which is pipe tobacco, and then you have your traditional cigars. And that jump between the deadwood and traditional cigars, they felt was too big. There was a gap. They needed to put a step between them. And so what they did was they came up with a lighter Dominican Republic blend and they put a sweetened cap on it. I didn't know that. When it came out that it was a deadwood cigar, Deadwood Dominicana, I was like, okay, so it's another pipe cigar. I've got to find out about are the percentages the same, or are this the same? And I just haven't had time to do it. Well, talking to the man, the grinder extraordinaire, Michael Laneza, he he told me. Now, I don't know if you know this. Andrew Mackey, the guy who was fighting Eminem on 8 Mile, that's how I always remember him. The new Captain America, right? He was at PCA yesterday and he was at PCA today. I didn't see him yesterday. But today, as I'm going into the VIP area, because I got access at Drew Estate, I went back there to the bar to get a bottle of water. I'm standing there waiting my turn very politely. And there's some gentlemen in front of me. And I look over and I'm like, oh, goodness, that's Andrew Mackey. That's cool. Now, this is the factual part of the story. I didn't go up and say anything to him. I didn't say, hey. I didn't even really make eye contact once I figured out who he was. Just kind of backed up a little bit because he probably gets people coming up to him and talking to him all the time, and all he wants is just a moment of peace. And I don't want to take that peace from him just for a moment to say, hey, I like your movies, right? Hey, you're a nice guy. Can I get a picture? You know, I understand people want to do that. I get that. Sometimes, it's rare, but sometimes people come up and do that with me, and I'm honored and privileged. to have that. But not everybody wants to have that much access to themselves for everybody, and I didn't want to take that up from him. That's all true. And then he just walked away because he didn't know I was there. I don't even know what he got to drink. I probably should have remembered, but I don't care. Now, here's the not true part that I'm going to tell my friends a couple years from now when nobody can fact check it. I'm going to tell them that as they were walking away, Andrew Mackey cut a side eye and saw that I was there and turned his head back and leaned over to his friend, his entourage, and said, "Dude, that's Bob the cigar guy. Wow." That's what I'm going to tell him. That's what I'm going to tell everybody, he said, because he's not going to know. And nobody can fact check it because it's been too far away, right? I mean, why not? Actually, I won't do that. I just like telling that story like I would tell that story. So, hung out at the Drew Estate booth for a while, a couple times. Hung out with DJ Eli and everybody else over there, and it was a great time. It was really nice. Now, I had an interesting time. You may not know this about me, but I'm what you would call a conservative. Okay, I'm not gonna say I'm a Republican. I'm not gonna say any of that, but I will say I'm a conservative because the traditional values of the conservative party are a lot of the things that I believe. And I'm not shy of that. I don't use politics in my channel. We don't. Chief and I purposely don't talk politics. It's divisive. It causes problems, and I don't think a person with my platform should be trying to tell you what I believe. I'm telling you about cigars. I shouldn't be telling you about who to vote for or this or that or the other thing, and because you're not there for that. You're there for a break. You're there for a pause. Well, there are some people in the cigar industry that are very passionate about politics, one side or the other. And they are vocal about it and they choose to use their platform. And what I say to that is this is America. And the differences, the choices people make makes America great. I believe that. And they have a right to, if they want to use their platform, they can. And if I don't want to pay attention to it, I can. Well, there was a certain cigar manufacturer, Skip, from Romacraft. He actually ended up handing me a handful of cigars and a handful for Chief. And I saw him, and he's very busy usually, but he was by himself, and I was between interviews. I had about 40 minutes for my next interview, which happened to be right behind his booth. And I walked up to him, and I said, "Hey." He goes, "Hey, Bob." We shook hands, and he was talking to a lady, and he was talking about his service in the Navy. He's a submariner. And he kind of dismissed her, or he finished talking with her, and he turned to me, and I said, "I didn't know you were a submariner." And so I talked about my experiences in submarines and swimming out of torpedo tubes and all the other stuff that I've done, just to build a moment, because all I wanted to do was, we seem to be on the opposite side of most issues. Whether I say it publicly or not, we don't think the same, which is fine. If everybody thinks like me, it'd be bad. If everybody thinks like him or you or anybody else, it'd be bad. It's our differences that make us great. I believe that. I really do. And so we were sitting there talking. I said, "Look, I just want to come over and say, hey, we've probably been friends on Facebook." He said, I told him, I said, "We've never really spoken before." He goes, "Yes, we have." And I said, "Oh, I apologize. I've slept since then." We kind of laughed that off. And I said, "Well, I just want to come over and say, we've been interacting on Facebook for years, but I just want to come over and just, say hey." And Skip took the opportunity, which I don't have fault with. There is no shade, there is no negativity to this conversation I'm about to have with you. So if you go and you tell people that Bob's bashing on this or this and that, you can tell it. I mean, you're an American, you're a human, you can do what you want to do, but just know that you're not telling the truth, because that's not what I feel. But he spoke about politics from a different perspective than I did. He was extremely passionate about it. What started off from me just coming up, shaking his hand and saying hi, turned into a 45-minute political conversation. And the only reason that political conversation ended was because I had an interview to go to. And he took the opportunity to tell me that he believes that I am a man of integrity, I am a man of loyalties, responsibilities, and I have a moral compass. And I told him pretty much the same thing. We appreciated each other, a mutual admiration society, so as to speak. We didn't solve any problems. We didn't really come to any common ground. And when I left, I shook his hand and I said, I appreciate this time. I said, I don't know if you enjoyed this conversation, but I did. And I thank you for your candor. He's a very smart man. And so I use bigger words because he's using bigger words too. So I used the word candor. I said, I appreciate your candor. And I really did enjoy this conversation. I have to go to an interview. I'll see you later. And so I went and did the interview. And I came back and I was sitting down. Um, I went to the restroom and I was sitting down, had another interview in about a half an hour. And he comes walking by while I'm on the phone with the first lady. And he goes, hey, buddy, or hey, friend. And I was like, well, that's nice because I thought I had frustrated him. He said, hey, friend. He goes, I really am glad we had that conversation. Come by the booth and I'll give you some cigars. Come by the booth and get some cigars. I want to give you some cigars. If you don't know about Skip and Romacraft, Skip and Romacraft do not get a lot of media attention. And the reason why is Skip has this mindset of I will never mail out samples to anybody. I don't give out cigars to media. If you want to review my cigar, you need to buy my cigar because if I give you the cigar, then you're not going to possibly give me an honest opinion. I understand that merit. And the fact that he said, hey, I want to give you some cigars and some cigars for Chief really led me to believe that something that we said between each other in the conversation made a difference in his life, made a difference in mine. Maybe changed the perspective a little bit. Maybe decided that, you know what, there's something to be said about sitting down and having difficult conversations. And so when I went back over to get some cigars, because I did, I went back over and I said, I just really honestly tell you that I enjoyed the conversation. I wish it would have been 3 or 4 hours long, because I think we could have really sat down and really got to some stuff. And he said, you know what, maybe that'll happen one day. Who knows? I'm open to it. I know it won't be the most comfortable conversation. I know it won't be the most enjoyable conversation. I know there will be no cameras or microphones present when we have that conversation, but I think that there will be respect and there will be truthfulness from both sides. And I see that as a positive. You know, our country is 250 years old next year. We're still young in the country game, but we are working hard to continue to strive to be the best we can be, and with new people as well as old people, making our opinions be known and listening to others and giving people space to be who they are. I think that makes us best. I do. Um, TAAI, what is
Yeah,
that?
I don't know who it is, but hasn't gotten outrageous, so I've left
All
it.
right. Well, TAAI, I am Bob the Cigar Guy, and that's who I am. I am working on shooting this video right now. It's a podcast brought to you by Villiger Cigars, PCA 2025 After Dark, New Orleans. If you smoke cigars, TAAI, I would suggest that you try a Villiger cigar. Why? Because they make them, and they're good for some people. I like them. You might. If you don't like cigars, I'd highly recommend not to buy them because you probably won't like them when you smoke them, no matter what they are. But if cigars are your thing and you want different flavors of fullness, of decadence, deliciousness, and delightfulness, might I say Villiger could be one place where you could get some cigars from. So that's what I'm saying. And I'm so glad you're here. By the way, TAI, I just want to let you know that every Sunday we have a video, which is an encouraging motivational video on the Bob the Cigar Guy channel that you're on right now. We also have a Drew's Day on Tuesday where we talk about Drew Estate cigars. That's another company that makes cigars. If you like cigars, you might want to buy some of them. But you know, if you don't like cigars, don't buy those either. The Sunday review is done by Steve Saka. Hey, he's got Dumbarton Tobacco and Trust, a great, amazing cigars, unless you don't like cigars. Now, we also have a podcast, which is amazing, a live show called Chief Talk. My son, Chief, Stephen is his name, but we call him Chief for the editor in chief. He has a 2.5 hour, 2 hour live show every 8:15 on Thursday. You are more than welcome to come and ask all sorts of questions then. I also have, man, I'm busy. Are you asking, am I working? Yes, I am. I'm working very hard, not very good at it, but I'm putting in the time. Fridays at 5 o'clock, it's called I've Got the Smokes, Let's Ride with Bob the Cigar Guy Podcast Experience. We're up to episode 18 in a row. That's one every week. And we have got 18 in the books. And I tell you what, they're not great, but they keep you awake while you're driving. And they make you want to get home faster so you can cut off the radio. So I highly recommend not to speed, but drive and listen to Bob the Cigar Guy on Fridays at 5 o'clock. And then, all right, I'm going to round this out. We do reviews, regular reviews of different cigars, but those aren't on a scheduled rate. But we also have, well, wait. No, we do have another one. Aganorsa just jumped on board. And so we have a once a month Aganorsa video. I forgot about them. But you've got those as well. And they make cigars. That's right. And so you can get a cigar from them if you like cigars. If you don't like cigars, don't buy them. If you do buy them and you don't like them, you can send them to me because I'll say, thank you, because I work at doing this. And then there's one last product we have. One last great thing, which I'm telling you is the banger. And that is Second Saturdays with the First Lady. T.I., if you don't know if you like cigars, but you don't want to buy cigars and waste money because we only have so much money, if you tune in on a second Saturday live with the First Lady, you're going to learn about cigar etiquette. You're going to learn about lounge lifestyle. You're going to learn about how to, if you're not a cigar smoker, because she's not, but she loves one, that's me. It's our anniversary, 34 years. I've been working at that too. So if you watch that, you'll learn all these things and decide maybe this is the culture for you. Maybe this is a lifestyle to give you that peace and pause and answer all those hard questions that you've got going on in my video. If you would like to watch that, if you are watching when it's on live at 12 o'clock, second Saturdays, you have a chance to win. You know what? A refrigerator. No, I'm not Bob the Refrigerator Guy, even though I spend a lot of time in it. It's called Bob the Cigar Guy, so you will win cigars. You'll win swag, you'll win cutters, you'll win lighters, you might even get an ashtray and a Travador. You can get a ton of stuff, and it will cost you nothing but your time, which is your most precious commodity because you don't know how much you have, and you can't make any more, right? So, answering to all your questions, you can get there. Now, if you have some questions that you'd like to talk to me about, but you don't want to talk to me about it in front of everybody else, I get it. I understand. If you, when this video is over, any of my other videos, I recommend watching them all. Watch the videos, and then at any of those videos, you comment and you say, hey, this is me. And I will comment back and we'll hook up and talk. I'll send you my email. And if you're not really sketch, I'll send you my Facebook information, and we can message and we can chat. How about that? And then you'll know if you like cigars or not. But if you don't like cigars and if you're here just to ask silly questions, I thank you for coming in because I was running out of things to say. I had finished talking about PCA, and I knew that contractually, because this is sponsored by Villiger Cigars. That's right, you can buy cigars there, AI. I needed to have something to fill. I didn't want to hem and haw, and I didn't want to be boring. And I think people that are watching are laughing and having a good time, not laughing at you, laughing at the humor that I have put on this moment. So please don't be offended because I'm not trying to offend you. I'm not trying to embarrass you or humiliate you. I don't think that your actual name is the name that's on your screen name. So nobody at work will say, hey, I saw you on Bob the Cigar Guy, because they might smoke cigars. And I can't believe he picked at you like that. I'm not picking at you. I'm loving you. Why? Because you're awesome. And I know that. Thanks for being you and family. We've got 3 seconds. Whew, I am tired. I want to take off my shoes. I want to sit with the First Lady and just, I'm glad I danced with her this morning so I don't dance with her tonight because I'm tired. We got another day tomorrow. It's going to start at 8 o'clock instead of 10 o'clock, and we are going to go till 4. And I will be on tomorrow night for the last time for PCA Live After Dark, sponsored by who? That's right, Villiger. You know what Villiger does? That's right. They make cigars. You know what else they do? They sell them. And they hope what you do is buy them. So, First Lady, tell everybody bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us, y'all. I had fun being in the moderator seat.
There we go. She loves being in charge. She'll cancel you. Bruh. I love you. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'm going to give me some more boudin. Good night.